It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and fill your mind.
Hey guys, how is it going? And welcome to the Morning Star Drive on 117.8. It is Wednesday, March 20th, and so happy for you joining us. We are ready to start another day together with the Lord. So subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on SoundCloud, and make sure to support us on Patreon. So today we have an exciting podcast for you. We have Health is Happiness, the Bible history word study, and of course commentaries, updates, and news on what is happening around the world in this history today. All right, everyone, how are you doing? And yes, we are at the middle of the week. Yes, this week is moving by very, very quickly. I am so thankful. We have Wednesday service tonight. I hope you guys are really looking forward to that. Also, don't forget, tomorrow is Q&A Thursday, so get those questions ready. Send them to me whenever you can. And if you haven't yet, leave a like and comment to build our community. Just super happy for everyone joining us every weekday on the Morning Star Drive. So let's get up and support each other each and every day. So this week's Sunday message title is, I Will Resolve It, the work that God must do and the work that human beings must do. All right. So yes, it is Wednesday. We're at the middle of the week. I am so happy that this week is moving by so quickly and so fast. For me, remember that I always do my recordings the day before. I don't really have the equipment myself to do everything like this live stream, but hopefully in the future, if things get set up really well, I will be able to do it live stream every single day. Like that would be kind of cool for me too. I would love to do it in that way also. Even for me, checking it out last week, doing the live stream for the first time for the Rebel Pastor channel, it was exciting. For me, it was really nerve-wracking and exciting at the same time because it's live, you know? It's like every single thing, every mistake, or I can't redo something. It's just impossible for me to redo it because it's live. Like, you can't do a redo and say, everyone, let's turn the clock back 5 minutes earlier. Let me start this again. Like, I just can't do that. So, for me, that is one of the things that was kind of exciting. And I think that's something that I do want to explore a little more, too. Oh, by the way, I didn't get my SoundCloud up yesterday for some reason. Something's wrong with my SoundCloud. I wasn't to upload yesterday, and so far I haven't been able. I probably won't be able to do it today either. Let me do a double check on what is going on with my SoundCloud account. It's so weird. Like, my SoundCloud doesn't work from right after March 16th. I don't know. Is that a sign? I don't know, but I will take a look at that. I'll get back to you. My apologies to everyone who's out there in the SoundCloud world. Okay, so I will take a look at that too. New poll come out. New poll is about 316 this year. I would like to know how you felt about 316 this year, right? Like, I would give you 5 different options. Number 1 is like powerful and revive me, which means that, it was a very, very high level. It was good, not bad. Nothing changed for me, or didn't watch it. Right? Like, didn't participate, didn't watch. Doesn't mean you went to Korea, but even in your churches, you didn't watch it. Like, there could be much different things that you can look at. Like, I don't look at 316, and I can't really look at that and say, it made my faith worse. Like, I don't see that as an option, right? I can see how nothing can change for some people. It could be not bad or good, but I didn't put the option of, it was so terrible, it made my faith worse. Like, I don't see that as an actual option, so I put as the last option is didn't watch it. So the reason why I'm saying this is because personally, I really enjoyed 316, right? I was moved by seeing Sunsee's videos. I was really inspired just to see so many people gather together again and celebrate 316, especially after 2023. And I think another thing that I really enjoyed, what about seeing new and old faces on stage for praise? Like, there's that new guy in the beginning, right? That new praise leader. And then you get to see the old praise leader, which was Chung Ho, on stage, which was great and awesome also. And that was inspiring for me too. But I also know that I may not be the majority. And that everyone has different things that they're going through, different feelings, different things that they're recovering from after 2023. So they're going to have different thoughts about 316. So I would love to see a poll on, the reason I did this poll was the general thoughts of 316. Right? What was the general what people were thinking about 316? Right? And if anyone has any audio or video testimony, I would love to play it on the Morning Star Drive, just to see how you guys, if you have any testimonies, if you went there yourself or something that happened within your church, I would love to hear about that too. Oh yeah, and don't forget, it is Wednesday morning, 5:30 a.m. for those in Malaysia. Right now, the podcast comes out in Malaysia at 5:30 a.m., 6:30 a.m. in Korea, which means that the YouTube premiere for my next video for the Rebel Pastor, it will come out. It will be premiering at 9 a.m., so in about 3.5 hours. 3.5, so 9 a.m. Malaysia, 10 a.m. Korea. For those of you in America and Canada, yes, I switched over for you guys because 40% of my audience is over there in America, which is mainly not members, it's newcomers. Right? Because remember, I have like 5,000 people on my channel, and 40% of the people that are watching are actually from America. And if you look at the comments too, most of the people watching are not members, right? But so for those of you in America and Canada, the premium will start at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, Tuesday evening, right? Tuesday evening, 6 p.m., 9. So if you guys are listening to this a little bit early, if that time is getting close to you for Tuesday evening, those in America and Canada, go ahead and watch that. If you are in like Asia, it's going to be Wednesday morning. Right, so it's going to be pretty soon, a couple hours after this podcast comes out, right? So hopefully we can get a lot of people to join from the Western countries or even Asian countries who have time at around 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. in the Asian countries. So let's really do this together, make sure that we can make history through the internet. Like if you guys are someone, like I understand that some people, this type of like YouTube channel is not for everyone, but I do ask if you guys could just support me, turn it on, just leave it on. You don't have to do anything else. If it's something like, I don't want to bother with this, just turn it on, leave it on, turn all the volume off. You could write a comment, like it, whatever it is, but it is something I do think that we can help support each other. Like, do you guys remember the internet ministry education that Sunsteam gave? Like, I gave it to you last week, I believe. It's such a great message. And the thing that's so shocking is the internet ministry education from Sunsteam was done in as early as 2001. And God told Sunsteam that the gospel will grow and spread naturally through the internet. So Sunsteam started talking about it from 2001 that we need to start internet ministry. And remember, there's two types of internet ministry. There's direct evangelism, which means that you have a choice of either directly saying we are Providence, we are CGM, or you don't have to say it. But the most important part is the word is going to be spread. So as long as people listen to the words and agree with it, they kind of come to our side because they're agreeing with the word that we preach. Now, the indirect evangelism is just gathering a cloud of followers from your social media or from YouTube or something along that line. And, whatever it is, whether you're doing fashion or running or education or something along that line, yes, as you begin to gather a following, you're able to help their lives by putting proverbs or some of the words into your videos or posts. Both are fine, right? Indirect and direct, both are fine. Sunsteam says these are the two different ways you can do it. But for me, you can see mine is definitely direct evangelism, and I'm not directly stating who I am, but I'm just preaching the word for now. Because later on, when we discuss with Sunsteam, this is when it's going to be like, oh, Sunsteam, what do you think is better? And Sunsteam will be like, oh yeah, I want you to do it this way. And of course, we'll do it that way kind of thing, right? The big thing that I want to kind of tell everyone here is how can we participate and help? And that was in the education too. So if you don't have time to do internet ministry, to go out and make videos, do this and that, how are you able to support? Well, there's two ways. Number one, which is the easiest and best way, I do believe, it is watching the videos, subscribing, liking, commenting, sharing, and saving it. Like, that's just kind of like supporting the channel. That is probably the easiest way. And like I said, even supporting the channels, sometimes you can click on it, click the like button, leave a comment, and just let the video run, right? Just let the video run, right? And, you can share it with someone if it's something that you think that, it's something that benefits someone else too. But I definitely think that's something that you guys is the easiest one to do. And of course, you can pray for it spiritually, right? And the second thing you can do big is giving financially. Obviously, videos take time, effort, and money to make. And those are the two different ways you can do it. One, either or both. These are the ways we can do it, right? And, this is, you guys probably really notice right now, I'm doing a very, very big push right now for the YouTube channel, because the beginning is always the most difficult part, right? And for me too, I'm just very grateful and thankful for all your support, both watching or listening to the videos, supporting me financially. These are all ways that we can help spread internet ministry. So right now, the team that I work with is 3 people, right? So we've been working very hard over the past week to get this channel up and running again. So let's see what we can do over the next 6 months and how much we can grow this, right? I really, really want this. I hope that this can be something that, I'll give you some goals, right? My next goals for the Rebel Pastor YouTube channel, this one is about growth. This, my MSG channel, the one we're listening to right now, is not really about growth. Meaning, I can only grow as much as Providence grows because it's for members. So for me, it's not I want to grow this to 10,000 or 5,000 subscribers kind of thing, right? Mine is, hey, this is for members. So since only members can join, my only job here is to bring good content for the people here. I'm not really trying to grow because technically speaking, it can't grow because it's only for members. That's my target audience. Now, for the YouTube channel, The Rebel Pastor, my goal is 10,000 subs. That's my goal for this year, to get my sub to double it. I was able to reach 5,000 by this year, but as we start to put more and more videos and shorts and clips and everything else, we want to grow it. We really, really want to grow it to 10,000 subs. And the cool thing about that is that's a huge milestone in YouTube, because with 10,000 subs, you get a big plaque saying, congratulations, you have 10,000 subscribers kind of thing. And then also on top of that, I want to average at least 1,000 views per video. Right, so let's just see what we can do. Lots of things that we can go through. I want to see what we're able to do with this. So yeah, 10,000 subs, 1,000 views per video, and obviously that cannot be done with only Providence members. It's here to reach out to new people out there in the world who want this type of content, right? Actually, you know what's very interesting? I was talking to another member who is testing out YouTube and stuff. And he was telling me how other churches actually build their channels, like even cults. How do they push out their videos and beat the algorithm? So he was telling me, there's this church and cult in Korea, and they have something like 100,000 members in their church, right? So how do they make their videos and channels? What they do is, they will start a channel, and everyone in the church will subscribe, and watch the videos. And everyone does this. They like it. They work together. They're working all together. They're sharing and saving the videos, right? So imagine this, right? The YouTube algorithm sees a brand new channel that just starts. First video comes out, already 8,000, 15,000, 20,000, 40,000 subscribers comes out. We have 100,000 views right away, and then they're all being liked and shared. So what does the algorithm do? Oh, remember, the algorithm doesn't care if they're a cult or not. They just care about, making money for themselves, right? The algorithm pushes out those videos because everyone in the church is working together. And that's why it's able to spread very, very fast. It's whoa, this is a really big channel, and it just pushes and pushes, right? And, I really think that for us too, we need to work together. Come together with the same goals and the same thoughts. And I do believe we can definitely do this. And of course, the Western world, we don't even have 10,000 members in the Western world, right? We have maybe 1,500 max, I think. I think that's the top we have, maybe even less than that. Right? Because we'll have 500 in America. We have another, say, Australia, Canada, and New Zealand might give us another 250 more. So that would make it 750. You have maybe another 50 people in Malaysia that speak English that join, maybe 100 people, that makes it 850. You have Singapore, which is like 950, 1,000 right there. Hong Kong maybe has, I'm not sure how many in Hong Kong, maybe over 100. So like, when we look at the, and then you have Europe, which is under 100 too. So when you think about this, we don't have a lot of people. It's under 1,500 people that are doing this, right? We don't have 10,000. We have about 1,500 in the English-speaking world. And if you add people that speak English in Japan and Taiwan and Korea and Mongolia, other countries like this, yeah, we might get 1,500 altogether, right? So we don't need all 1,500. Like, I would say even just getting 500 people to really work on this together, right? That if we can just do that, I truly believe it will make an impact. If we work together, we can make history happen. Like, you can tell, guys, how focused I am on the Rebel Pastor right now. It's because it just started. I've already spent all day recording on Friday. Yesterday evening, I spent more time. I just really, I just wanted to have a really good start, make sure that this channel could spread out really quickly and fast. What I'm telling you guys is this. If you start out with a good 500-600 people that are working together to push a channel out, eventually those 500-600 people don't even need to work on it. Why? Because by that time, if it starts to push out really quickly, then you have like all these newcomers and new people joining the channel, commenting on it, doing all these things, where eventually the 500-600 people are not going to be the ones that have to really push it that much, right? Because it's grown that much, right? So, when we start, Sunseem said this too. Sunseem said, remember in the, was it this week's message or last week's message? Sunseem talks to God and says, why can't people start well? I think it was last week, right? Why can't people start well? And even if they start, why can't they end well? So I wanted to make sure that we can start well with this rebrand for the channel. And I hope it's something that we can really, really do together as one, as one body, man. Can you imagine, like, even later in the future, let's say the English ministry grows to 10,000. Every YouTube channel we want to spread the gospel and do these things, we can very much work on it. Like, I would even say that this English community can work together. Like, we can have our own Discord. We can talk and discuss about the channels that we want to make and then just kind of get them out and spread them out as quickly as possible, right? So, I think, for me, I think the really good thing about doing MSD is it's really prepared me to get myself going okay for the new rebrand on the Rebel Pastor. Like, this has really prepared me. Imagine if I had no MSD and I'm just trying YouTube. I think it would be so much harder for me to even just get going or even start to talk and speak on that live stream and stuff like that too, right? So, even for me right now, I'm even thinking that about, how to grow Providence English Ministry with YouTube, right? And with podcasts and the things that I'm doing. Like, I'm even thinking about seeing if there's someone who wants to take over one day a week for the MSD channel. Having someone fresh, maybe younger, different point of view, to do an entire podcast for one day. I think that would be really amazing. Like, people are doing segments right now. We have Eddie doing one. We have Daniel doing one. Pastor David Baker's doing Sermons in the Sky every 2 weeks and such. So I think it would be really good to have someone doing an entire podcast. I think that would be kind of cool. And, I think we need to really raise the next generation of YouTubers or podcasters or Instagrammers or TikTokers or whatever it is. I'm hoping to find someone find some people who'd be really, really interested in these types of things. Try it out once or something and just see how you feel about it. So if there's anyone who wants to just try it, I would love to discuss with you. Because eventually, my original goal for MSD is to be a hub for members. Many people to try out new shows and new segments, and those that want to maybe share something to an instant audience that's already been built up, right? So if there are any of you out there that want to try a segment, try a show, try anything, video or just an audio, please let me know. Would love to get your participation to grow this channel, mainly for English-speaking countries. And I'm I'm very, very excited. I am, because even now, if I look at, like, if I'm gonna pull up my YouTube right now, right? So let me 1 second. And there's some things that I look at my YouTube channel. I'm very, very happy and excited because like, even looking at my shorts are growing very, very quickly. Right? Like, they're averaging about 500 views at the moment, which was not, like, put it this way. Before I started this channel for Rebel Pastor, I'm averaging probably like 100, maybe 200, right? Maybe 200, 300 different views on my shorts. But now that they're consistently coming out, I look at that and it's like, oh, wow, I got my first YouTube short for Rebel Pastor was like 573. Then it went to 617, 508, 506. And then my new short already just came out right now. So when I look at this, I'm like going, oh, yeah, this is actually working out a lot better than... it's actually growing a lot faster than I thought it would. Right? It is. It's actually growing a lot faster than I thought it would. So that is something I find quite I find quite exciting, that it's growing faster than I thought it would. Right? So if you guys are out there and want to support in some way, like I said, you guys can just post, like, turn on a video and just watch it. Like, not even watch it, just leave it on. Like it, leave some comment even before you watch it saying thank you so much, and then just leave it on so that the algorithm will see it and boost it right away. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm happy, and it's going well already. Guys, can you believe it's already March 20th? Like, March is 2/3 done. We have 10 days before April comes in. We're already going to hit April, and for me, it's like, man, now time is moving fast. Last year, it was super slow. This year, it's crazy fast, right? So I hope we can get a lot of things done. I really hope that we can just move and push ourselves to that next level. And we might be a little bit tired. We might be a little bit weak in certain areas, but ultimately, I know that we're going to make history happen. We got to get excited again. We got to get hopeful again. We got to be those that, like, are not in survival mode. You know, take ourselves out of the survival mode. Survival mode is, I just got to make sure I'm doing well. Oh, I'm not doing well. I just got to make sure that I do well. And so we kind of, like, sacrifice a lot of the spiritual things and even physical things so that we can do well ourselves. But what I'm saying is, we got to get ourselves out of survival mode. There's no need. We don't even need to be in survival mode anymore, right? Like, we were in survival mode for like an entire year, and that can really, you know, hurt someone's psyche. The way that their mentality, the way that they think, and we become a little bit more scared and apprehensive. But I say, after 316, think about it, guys. We got to get ourselves out of that shell, come out of that cave, and we've got to start doing what we did before, but even better than before, too. Okay? So there it is, guys. That is, that's segment number 1. That's kind of the things I did want to talk about. I hope you guys join the live stream for today's, for those of you in Asia. That's going to be happening in a couple of hours. It's going to be 9 a.m. Malaysia and 10 a.m. Eastern. Hope you guys can join that too. And of course, over there in America, it's 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. All right. So there it is, guys. That is segment number 1. Of course, today we do have Bible history word study. Looking forward to that. We're going to be going from, I believe it's going to be Genesis chapter 16. Right? Genesis chapter 16. So please look forward to that also. All right. So before we get into the Bible history word study, let's get into the first music break of the day.
We believe in the same God, but we are on different levels.
Put your hands in the sky if you feel alive. All the stories that we made, just you and I. Never losing all the passion. All this love is my obsession. Oh my gosh, this feeling got me heat stroke. His love like a billion pots about to heat though. I ain't never breaking from this bond, cause you and I are only one. If you ain't living with the Lord, then who you with? Who you with? If you ain't living with the Lord, then who you with? You with? You are get together with the Lord every day, all day. You are get together with the Lord all day, all day. You mean life. We sing about memory stories that we share. We'll fall deeper in love as we stop and just stare. My eyes only on you, they sparkle with love. Don't forget my charm too. There will never be another. Live this life only for you. I give you this promise that I will hold true.
If you ain't living with the Lord, then who you with?
Who you with? Who you with? Who you with?
If you ain't living with the Lord, then who you with?
Who you with? Hey.
Together with the Lord every day, all day. Together with the Lord all day, all day. Together with the Lord every day, all day. Together with the Lord all day, all day.
We believe in the same God, but we are on different levels.
All right, so let's get into today's word study. And of course, every single Wednesday we do now, like lately we've been doing the Bible history word study, and we've already gone up to Genesis chapter 16. So last week we did talk about Abraham that failed to split his sacrifice in Genesis chapter 15. And I did tell you that Sunseam said that it was due to the fighting between Abram and Sarai over not bearing children. And this is why he had other things on his mind, and eventually he forgot to, split the birds, right? So now we get into chapter 16, and it's interesting because from just the get-go, we can see that there was a dispute between Abram and Sarai, because starting in chapter 16, this dispute is ongoing. Sarai did not trust in God's covenant, or she didn't believe it. That she really didn't believe that God would grant them children at such an old age. So she gave Abram her Egyptian slave Hagar to bear children for her. Now, here's the problem. Okay, so the problem here is like you might think to me like, hey, Pastor Sky, are you saying that it's the woman's fault kind of thing? And I'm going to say is no, it's both people's fault. Because one thing Sunseam did say is Abram knew the covenant. He had the faith. But because he was so worn down with this fighting with Sarai, that he just agreed, even though he had a covenant with God and he trusted and believed that God would do it, that he would get a son, that he would eventually get a son, right? So Abram didn't have to do it, but he did. And this actually ended up causing more problems. Right? Now, if we see the character of Hagar, you can see her character because it says that once she was pregnant, she despised Sarai, even though she is just a servant, but she began to despise Sarai. So then what gets even crazier, because, this kind of looks like a real argument in a marriage too. Sarai then gets mad at Abram for getting her pregnant. So it's kind of like, Abram's stuck in a situation like, what do you mean? She's like, take my maidservant, make her pregnant, and I'll have a family through her. Once she gets pregnant, Hagar starts to despise her, and then she's like, it's your fault, Abram, right? And it technically is that he even listened, that he should have stuck with the covenant that God gave to him, right? So you have to think about it as once things are done outside of God's will, this is where problems come. Anything outside of God's will causes more problems. So the answer that Sarai thought, remember, this is Sarai thinking that this is the answer. I'm not going to bear you any children. It is impossible for me. I don't believe in this covenant. But she thought this was the only way to eventually, to relieve her from her grief. But it eventually causes her even more grief, and it even causes the world grief. Right? We know that for our lives too, many times we will try to do things outside of God's will, right? We'll think that, oh, this is the right way. Oh, this is the only way that we can solve this problem. Let's do it this way. But what we realize later is it attracts even more problems. So what eventually happens is Sarai is told by Abram, do what you want with your maidservant. And then she begins to mistreat Hagar. So that's another fault of Sarai, right? Then Hagar runs away. When she's still pregnant at this time, she runs away. And then she meets the angel of the Lord. And eventually the angel of the Lord says, don't worry, I'm going to bless you. You're going to be blessed by God. Why? Because inside you is the seed of Abraham, the father of all nations. The blessing's already put upon Abraham. So no matter what, any child that Abraham gets is going to have that blessing. Well, the descendants will increase too numerous to count. What's really interesting is what the angel prophesies about Hagar's child, who is Ishmael. The angel says in verse 12, that Ishmael will be a wild donkey of a man. His hand will be against everyone. Everyone's hand will be against him, and he will live in hostility towards all his brothers. And what happened to Ishmael? Ishmael became the father of Islam. Right? Ishmael is now the father of Islam. And that's why they say Islam, Christianity, and Judaism all have the same father, which is Abraham. Right? So think about this. Christianity, Judaism, and Muslim faith all come from Abraham. And basically, they cover the entire world. You're talking like probably more than half the world is covered by these three. And that's how interesting it is, right? It's like, wow. And Sandeep said that there was no choice for Ishmael to be blessed and have this many descendants because he came from the beloved Abraham. Abraham was guaranteed to be blessed with descendants. So you see that if you look at the two biggest religions in the world, it's Christianity and Islam, both coming from the same father, Abraham, which means he is truly the father of faith. Right? So, and Abram at this point, he was 86 years old. Right? So he's having a kid already at 86. And this should make you think twice about Abram's real age, that it wasn't really 86, right? Because Abram thought to himself that he couldn't have children at 99, but he's never complaining about having children at 86. That's kind of weird, right? Because 86 to us is like, no, you can't have children at 86. You're way past your prime, even as a man, right? So let's move on to chapter 17. So Abram is now 99 at this point, so 13 years later, and his name gets changed to Abraham. He's becoming the father of faith. Why? Because soon he'll be having a child, a son, within a year. The blessings are poured upon him. The covenant between God and Abraham is very interesting because the covenant, to show that there is a covenant between God and Abraham, the covenant is circumcision. And the covenant made is like, this is a symbol between yours and my covenant that every male at 8 years old will be circumcised. So why do children have to be circumcised at 8 years old, right? Which this is a covenant that reminds of the fall, the symbol of the sin for Adam, right? So Adam and Eve's story, remember, Adam and Eve came on the 8th day of creation. Well, there's no creation at that time. It's just the 8th day, right? So there's the first 7 days of creation. Human beings were created on the 6th day. God rested on the 7th, and then the story of Adam and Eve begins. Right? Remember, the number 8 is a symbol of recreation, second creation, right? So all the physical creation was born in the first 6 days. God rested. And on the 8th day, when human beings, their minds had already that evolved to a certain level, we had the second creation, which means spiritual birth, creation of the spirit. Well, not creation of, not that the spirit is created at that time, but the spirit actually comes to life and has a relationship with God. Right? So this is why there's a symbol of the 8th day having a circumcision. It symbolizes basically what happened at the time of Adam and Eve, the fall, right? That's why the circumcision is on the penis, right? Because that's where the sin is, right? 8 days symbolizes when it actually happened with Adam and Eve. So Abraham is here resetting this history of fallen Adam. And the covenant had to be symbolically made through circumcision on the 8th day that symbolizes the restoration of the fall that happened on the 8th day, which also means that Abraham restored the condition. Now, Sarai also, her name got changed to Sarah, which means mother of nations, and then they were promised a son, Isaac, right? So if the son is Isaac, you already know that Ishmael is not it. Okay, so let's move to chapter 18, and then there's 3 visitors that come. So these are kind of like human angels or people that symbolize God, right? So Sunstein says there are two types of angels: those that are spiritual, the ones that we know that are helping human beings spiritually, that are unseen, the angels that that are constantly with us. Then there are human angels. Human angels are the ones that God or angels use in the world to fulfill their will, help human beings, deliver messages or something along that sort, right? So one thing that Sunstein said about Abraham is that when you look at how Abraham welcomes how hospitable he is in chapter 18 to these three, he gave them the best of the best, right? So he was someone that, back in those days too, whenever you had visitors, you treated them like this, right? Very hospitable, treated them so well. And you can see that he treated these visitors so well. And did he know they were angels right away? And we can say, we'll find out later in later verses next week if he actually knew that it was God himself, right? But in future verses, you're going to kind of see that he didn't really know who they were, but this is how he treats visitors all the time. And, later he'll realize, oh my goodness, it was actually God, right? And that's going to be later on. I think that's going to be in next week's Bible history. So, and these three visitors also tell Abraham that Sarah will have a child next year. Like, they're going to come back next year and Sarah's going to have a child. And funny, just like a funny verse in there where Sarah overhears and says, what? I'm going to have a baby at this age? And she starts to laugh. And the three visitors, like, let me get to the verse. The verse is so funny. Like, I find it hilarious because it's like, what do you call it? It's like kids fighting. It's funny, right? So I'll read it from here. Then one of them said, verse 10, I will surely return to you about this time next year, and Sarah, your wife, will have a son. Now Sarah was listening at the entrance to the tent, which was behind him. Abram and Sarah were already very old, and Sarah was past the age of childbearing. So Sarah laughed to herself as she thought, after I am worn out and my Lord is old, will I now have this pleasure? Then the Lord said to Abraham, why did Sarah laugh and say, will I really have a child now that I am old? Is anything too hard for the Lord? I will return to you at the appointed time next year, and Sarah will have a son. Now here's the funny part. Sarah was afraid, so she lied and said, I didn't laugh. But he said, yes, you did. I didn't do it. Yes, you did. I didn't do it. Yes, you did. Like, yeah, when I look at that, I always laugh at that verse right there. So she's like, no, I didn't laugh. And he's like, no, you did. You did, right? And then after this, of course, we have the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. And the three visitors are heading to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah for their sins. But this is something very interesting because this came out in a message like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Basically, the three visitors says, we are going to check to see if the outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah is true. Like, is it really that bad there? Is it really that sinful? That's what they're going to check. Now, this is super amazing because now this is starting to make more sense to me. Ever since we got that message a few weeks back, and Sunstein said that God has the power and authority to see all things about you, everyone, everything, but he doesn't. Even God has to put in effort to see things about all of us. So if God doesn't put the effort into finding out about each and every one of us, he's not going to know. He has to put the effort in. And this is why here it makes more sense that God needs to check. He heard the news from all the angels. Man, it's terrible there. And God's like, all right, let's check. And he goes to check to see what's actually happening in Sodom and Gomorrah. And then, of course, we have the situation with the negotiations between God and Abraham, beginning about, hey, if there's 50 righteous, will you? No, how about 45? How about 40? How about 30? How about 20? How about 10, right? So he's basically negotiating with God. And obviously, we know that there wasn't even 10 because it was eventually destroyed. But the one thing that's very powerful about this, it shows the power of the central figure, the one that God sent, the one that is righteous in God's eyes, that they can have these conversations with God. And that's why this person is so important. When the central figure, the mediator, the man of mission, the one sent by God, right, especially the Messiah, they can communicate with God and even negotiate and say, hey, God, please, God, can you spare their lives? I'll do this. Like, how many times have you heard Sunstein say that and pray, like, God, please spare them. I will do better. I will do this. And then Sunstein would be like, then God would say, all right. Well, you're going to take responsibility. You're going to take responsibility for it, right? And then Sunseem says, yeah, right? And I'll take care of it. And if it doesn't work out, then you can do something about it. But give me a chance, kind of thing. And God will hold back his judgment. It reminds me actually of a story that Jesus said. You know, in Luke chapter 13, Jesus talked about a story about a man had a fig tree in a vineyard and couldn't find fruit on it. So the owner says to the person who takes care of the vineyard, dude, for 3 years, I've been looking for fruit on this fig tree and I found nothing. Cut it down. Why should it even use up this soil? And then it says, sir, the man replied, the caretaker of the tree, leave it alone for 1 more year and I'll dig around it and fertilize it. If it bears fruit next year, fine. If not, then cut it down. Right? And, you know, this is about the repent or perish. This is a time that Jesus is talking about repent or perish. And it's like that was a parable about Jesus, where God's like, I can't take this anymore. Let's start all over again. We can't use Israel anymore. And Jesus is like, no, please. Just let me take care of it for just 1 more year. Just 1 more year. Let me take care of it, see what happens. And if there's no fruit, then fine, we'll find something else, right? And this is the power of the central figure. Moses went up to Mount Sinai for 40 days and 40 nights, received the 10 commandments, came down. They were already worshiping idols. God is ready to destroy all of Israel. But Moses says, no, please, don't destroy them. Let me talk to them first. So that's the power of someone who is the, the central figure, the man of mission at that time. And he calms down the anger of the Lord. Here, Abraham's just negotiating like, come on, there's got to be at least 10. Please, God, let there be 10. Spare them on behalf of 10. And then we go to chapter 19, when the 3 visitors actually go and see how wicked Sodom and Gomorrah is. And Lot, just like Abraham, basically his nephew was just like Abraham, sees the 3 visitors, doesn't know that they're from God, and treats them just like Abraham did, finds favor in his eyes. Now, why was Sodom and Gomorrah so wicked? Well, it's because of the fall, right? Verse 4, all men from every part of the city of Sodom, both young and old, surrounded the house and asked for the 3 men. All of them wanted to have sex with them, right? So think about this. Every man, both young and old, every part of the city, gathered and surrounded Lot's house because they saw 3 men they've never seen before and they wanted to have sex with them. And, here's Lot even offering his 2 virgin daughters to protect these 3 visitors. So we know what happens is eventually they struck the men with blindness, told Lot and his family to leave, including his sons-in-laws. His 2 daughters were pledged to marry these 2 men, but the sons-in-laws didn't even believe Lot. And eventually at the pre-dawn, they left. Only 4 of them, which is Lot, his wife, and his 2 daughters. And eventually the burning sulfur came down to Sodom and Gomorrah, and Sunseem explained that as a volcanic eruption, right? So eventually it goes back to, the wife dies because, they were specifically instructed to not look back, right? Well, and mainly is think about it. If you have hot sulfur falling from the sky, if you stay in the same spot, you're going to have a higher chance of being hit. So it's better to just run, right? So when she stopped to look back, Sunseem says she was looking back and thinking about all the things she left behind because they couldn't take anything with them. They had to run, right? So it means that she had attachments. She still had attachments that she couldn't let go of, and that's what caused her death. And in the same way, too, it's the things that we're attached to in our life that we put before God, the things that we attach ourselves to. This is what causes us to die in our faith, die in even physically in our lives. It's our physical attachments, right? Eventually, what happens at the end of this chapter is Lot's 2 daughters. Basically, they're living in a cave. They don't have there's no husbands for them there. So to preserve the lineage, they got the father drunk, and both daughters slept with their father, and both daughters got pregnant. And of course, in today's society, that is really, really wicked and bad. But back in the Old Testament time, remember, it's a physical time period, which means the physical lineage is that important. And if there are no children to extend the line, the bloodline itself dies. And this is why it was not considered wicked or evil, and technically it was considered the proper thing to do to keep the lineage moving on. And that was a situation, circumstance at that time. There were no other men around. It could not have been helped. So the survival of the lineage becomes a much bigger thing, and it's a much more cultural thing back then, which would not be happening today. All right, so that is up to chapter 19. All right, so if you have any questions or anything else about this, please let me know. That is this week's message. That's this week's Bible history word study. And from next week, we'll go into chapter 20. Okay, so before we get into today's Health is Happiness, let's move into the second music break of the day.
To live with God in my heart. The tears you shed pray all night long. Your love and light at the break of dawn. The days when you were gone. Your words stay here in my heart. I'll hold on to you tightly, Lord. Your word is your love, I'm not alone. Now even if this dark world is frightening, wind and waves and thunders crashing, no matter what, our love will not change. You're with me and I'm with you. I will always, always love you, no matter if the world forsakes you. From all the love and miracles through you, I've witnessed the truth. I'll fly high with you. I will never, never leave you, no matter if the world forsakes you. With all the love and blessings from you, I'll never forget all that you've done for me. To live with God in my heart. I will not waver to wrong thoughts. I'll stay right here where I belong. You suffered all along. Your wounds lie deep in my heart. We'll guard you, Lord, till your pain's gone. We'll comfort you, so lie in our arms. Now even if this dark world is frightening, wind and waves and thunders crashing, no matter what, our love will not change. You're with me and I'm with you. I will always, always love you, no matter if the world forsakes you. Your love for God burns so brightly. Rise out of ashes, your light will set me free. I'll never, never leave you, no matter if the world forsakes you. With all the love and blessings from you, I'll never forget all that you've done for me.
Okay, so let's get into today's final segment, which obviously is Health is Happiness. I'm very, very excited and happy that we can go over some of the old replays. We have a lot of great information out there. So what are we going to be going on today? It's going to be Dr. Abe once again, and he, I believe, will be speaking about the liver. This is a two-part series on the liver, one of the most important organs that we have. So I hope you guys really enjoy this, learn a lot from it, and we're going to get into the liver part 1.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Health is Happiness. Today, we are continuing our organ series. I'm really enjoying discussing the body and teaching everyone a little more every week. Let's today discuss the liver and gallbladder, two organs intricately related to each other. Okay, so the liver is a triangle-shaped organ that tucks under the diaphragm on the upper part of the right-hand side of the abdomen. For simplicity, it consists of two functional halves, a right half and a left. Now, the liver is particularly important because it has a dual blood supply. What this means is that it receives blood supply to keep it alive and functioning, but it also receives blood supply from majority of the GI tract, that is, the stomach, small and large intestines. Because of this, it effectively acts as a blood filter from the things that the GI tract absorbs from the foods we've ate. In terms of the gallbladder, it's actually a pear-shaped organ that lies directly on the lower margin of the liver. Okay, so now we've understood the anatomy. How are these two organs related by function? Well, this is all related to bile. Now, bile is a fluid that is originally made by the liver. After being produced, the bile is then stored within the gallbladder. The role of bile is to help digestion, particularly of fatty foods. So the liver is constantly producing bile and filling up the gallbladder storage. Then, when we eat fatty food, the fats enter the stomach releases hormones, and those hormones act on the gallbladder. Those hormones cause the gallbladder to squeeze out the bile into the bile ducts, which deliver the biles into the small intestines. Here, the bile can then combine with the fats from the food we've ate and allows us to absorb them. Okay, so bile, that's our first big learning point from today. Let's now track back to the other functions of the liver. The liver has 4 main functions. The first is storage function. So the liver stores glycogen, and think of glycogen as packets of sugar which can be released whenever our blood sugar drops, say for example when we've been fasting. The liver also stores vitamins, particularly vitamin A, D, E, K, and B12. The next function of the liver is synthetic function. So the liver produces bile, like we spoke about, but the liver also produces blood proteins like albumin and clotting factors, and these have so many important roles in of themselves. The third function of the liver is energy function. So the liver helps regulate the 3 main nutrients of the body, that is sugars, fats, and proteins. It's actually also the major site where cholesterol from our food is processed and converted into fat for storage elsewhere in the body. The fourth and final function of the liver is detoxification or filter function. So as we spoke about, the liver screens the blood from the intestines and can help us get rid of medications, alcohol, and other toxins such as ammonia. Let's now move on to how we can test the liver and gallbladder function. The first way, as always, is through blood tests, aptly named liver function tests. This test gives us a lot of information about the liver. It can tell us about the liver if it's injured itself, or if the liver isn't doing its functions. That is, whether or not it's making those blood proteins, whether or not it is producing bile, and whether or not it is filtering out those toxins. Those toxins will build up in the blood, and that's sort of like a biomarker that the liver isn't doing its job. We then have a battery of imaging that we can do. We can do a CAT scan, an ultrasound, a fibroscan, and even an MRI. all have their pros and cons depending on which disease we are suspecting. Well, so we've learned the anatomy, the physiology, and also some basic tests. This is our foundation for the next lecture. So join me next time where we will discuss the different diseases and then how we can maintain a healthy liver. See you then.
And thank you so much, Dr. Abe, for a wonderful, wonderful segment. Once again, it is a replay, but it's something that is very, very important for us to know about our health and our own bodies and how do we take care of ourselves really well, too. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. I hope you guys have an amazing and awesome Wednesday service. It is a wonderful, wonderful day. Don't forget to watch that live stream 9 a.m. in Malaysia, Wednesday morning, or it's going to be Tuesday evening in America, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, all right? Everyone have a wonderful and awesome day, and we'll see you guys again tomorrow on the Morning Star Drive on 117.8.
It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly, so let's realign. Just listen and fill your mind.
I'm burning with desire and the passion. Nobody can stop me when I'm like this. I got my head in the zone, you know. I'm on the Morning Star Drive, you know. I'm burning with desire and the passion. Nobody can stop me when I'm like this. I got my head in the zone,